Behind the blinding stadium lights and multi-million-dollar world tours, the global music industry often hides a darker, much more cynical reality, where massive egos clash and staff members are treated as invisible cogs in a giant corporate machine. But what actually happens when the cameras stop rolling and the world's biggest boy band is left alone with the ordinary, hardworking people who clean their rooms, guard their lives, and pack their food? Are those perfectly timed smiles and humble bows just a meticulously crafted public relations illusion written by a powerful corporate agency? Or is there an undeniable, deeply emotional human truth behind the phenomenon? Today, we are cracking open the vault on the most guarded backstage secrets in K-pop to bring you an unfiltered, highly reflective journey that will challenge everything you think you know about celebrity culture. Get ready to question the very nature of stardom, because these shocking first-hand accounts from former crew members are about to redefine your perspective on loyalty, humility, and what it truly means to stay human at the absolute peak of global fame. Number 7. RM, the leader who cleans up the mess after the storm. To truly understand the weight of global stardom, you have to look at what happens when the roaring crowd of 80,000 people finally leaves the stadium, leaving behind a chaotic, post-apocalyptic wasteland of plastic bottles, discarded banners, and backstage debris. In the cutthroat entertainment industry, it is an unspoken, deeply institutionalized rule that once the artists vanish into their luxury vehicles, the underpaid, exhausted local crew members are left to work late into the night, scrubbing the floors and lifting heavy equipment. But during a massive stadium tour, a local production assistant witnessed something that completely shattered the rigid hierarchy of show business when Kim Namjoon, the brilliant leader of the group, chose to stay behind in the waiting area. Instead of rushing to his awaiting limousine like almost every other A-list celebrity in the industry, RM was spotted quietly walking around the chaotic green room, methodically picking up empty water bottles, flattening cardboard boxes, and stacking plastic chairs alongside the stunned local staff. There was no media coverage, no cameras capturing this moment for a promotional documentary, and absolutely no corporate obligation for a global icon worth millions of dollars to perform manual labor. The narrative of this moment reflects a deep, foundational respect for human labor, showing a leader who refuses to let his massive global status blind him to the reality of the working-class people who build his stage. This quiet act of solidarity sent shockwaves through the local crew, proving that true leadership is not about standing above the crowd, but about being willing to share the burden of the cleanup long after the applause has died down. How does a man carrying the weight of a billion-dollar cultural empire maintain such a grounded, ego-free connection to the everyday realities of ordinary workers? Stay tuned, because as we climb this list, the behind-the-scenes revelations only get more intensely personal, revealing a side of stardom that the glitzy music videos would never dare to show you. Number 6. Jimin, the angelic soul who refuses to treat staff like ghosts. Step into the high-intensity world of a backstage dressing room, a place filled with expensive cosmetics, frantic schedules, and a deeply toxic industry reality where many top-tier celebrities treat their makeup artists as mere invisible objects or subhuman extensions of their own vanity. It is a well-known, distressing secret among celebrity stylists that many idols will sit completely frozen in their chairs, scrolling through their phones, barking demands, or letting out frustrated sighs, without ever acknowledging the exhausted human being standing over them for hours. But when a veteran makeup artist was hired to work on a major television broadcast, she experienced a profound cultural shock the moment Park Jimin walked through the door and immediately broke every unspoken rule of celebrity elitism. Instead of ignoring her, Jimin walked directly into her personal space, bowed deeply at a perfect 90-degree angle, and initiated gentle, authentic eye contact that instantly melted away the immense pressure of the high-stakes environment. Throughout the entire intense styling session, Jimin continuously checked on her well-being, adjusting his posture to make her job physically easier and striking up casual, warm conversations about her day to ensure she felt seen, respected, and completely comfortable. This wasn't a superficial publicity stunt or a calculated PR move for the cameras. It was a genuine display of emotional intelligence from a global superstar who understands that dignity is a universal human right, not a luxury reserved for the rich and famous. To be treated with such profound, unprompted respect in a cutthroat industry where crew members are so often marginalized left the stylist in tears, completely redefining her understanding of what it means to be a global icon. How does an artist who is constantly scrutinized by millions retain such an unblemished, deeply empathetic soul in an industry known for hollow superficiality? Keep watching, because our next point takes us even deeper into the chaotic world of high-stakes security, where the lines between protector and protected become shockingly blurred. Number 5. Jungkook, the protector who risks it all to guard his own bodyguards. Picture the absolute madness of a chaotic international airport, a suffocating sea of thousands of screaming fans, flashing cameras, and aggressive paparazzi pushing forward with an intense, terrifying energy that can break steel security barricades in a matter of seconds. In this high-stakes environment, the traditional dynamic is entirely one-sided. Large, heavily built security guards are paid to act as human shields, taking physical hits, bruises, and immense stress to ensure the celebrity remains completely untouched and safe. Yet, during a particularly dangerous airport arrival where the crowd breached the primary security line, an exhausted former bodyguard witnessed an unbelievable subversion of this hierarchy that left him utterly speechless. As the wave of people surged forward, causing a heavy metal barricade to buckle, one of the frontline security guards lost his footing on the slick floor and began to fall directly into the path of the aggressive, advancing crowd. Instead of using that chaotic distraction to sprint ahead to the safety of his waiting bulletproof vehicle, Jungkook did the unthinkable. He spun around, grabbed the falling bodyguard by his heavy tactical vest with immense physical force, and pulled him back onto his feet. With the crowd pressing in from all sides, Jungkook refused to let go until he was certain his protector was safe, actively shielding the guard with his own body while repeatedly shouting through the noise for the security team to look out for their own safety. This gut-wrenching moment revealed a young man who completely rejects the elitist mindset that his life is inherently more valuable than the lives of the working-class people hired to protect him. It shows a raw, instinctive loyalty that transcends the boundaries of a corporate contract, proving that even under maximum physical threat, his first instinct is to protect the very people who are paid to bleed for him. How does a global pop phenom maintain such a fierce, protective humility when the entire world is constantly bowing at his feet? The journey ahead only gets more intense, because next up, we witness a level of sheer physical sacrifice that borders on the terrifying. Number 4. Suga, the silent warrior who bleeds in secret to protect the crew's hard work. Step behind the heavy velvet curtains of a multi-million-dollar stadium world tour, where the immense financial pressure and grueling scheduling demands create a high-stakes pressure cooker that pushes artists to the absolute brink of human endurance. In the glittering world of K-pop, the show must go on at all costs. But few outsiders understand the brutal physical toll extracted from the performers, or the severe anxiety felt by the crew when an artist's body begins to completely break down. During a major international tour, a former documentary crew member witnessed a chilling, deeply emotional reality when Min Yoongi was dealing with the agonizing, chronic physical aftermath of his severe shoulder injury. While the cameras on stage captured a flawless, high-energy rap icon commanding tens of thousands of screaming fans, The moment Suga stepped into the pitch-black darkness of the backstage wings, his public persona completely collapsed into raw physical agony. The crew member watched in shock as Suga slumped into a chair, gasping for air, while medical staff rushed to apply ice packs and administer emergency oxygen to stabilize his trembling body. Yet, despite the terrifying physical exhaustion and blinding pain, Suga fiercely forbade his personal managers from calling a medical halt to the concert or altering the complex staging setup. His reasoning was not driven by selfish pride or a desire for personal glory, but by a deep, heartbreaking empathy for the hundreds of local stagehands, lighting technicians, and audio engineers who had worked sleepless nights to build the massive production. Suga knew that a sudden cancellation would disrupt the livelihood and schedules of the working-class crew, so he chose to internalize his own suffering, quietly standing back up, adjusting his earpiece, and walking back out into the blinding lights with a brilliant, deceptive smile. This level of professional sacrifice is nothing short of legendary, revealing a man who treats the labor of the crew with such profound reverence that he is willing to push his own physical body to the absolute edge of collapse just to honor their collective effort. How can a global megastar carry such an intense, silent burden of responsibility for ordinary workers without ever demanding pity or special treatment from the world? Stay with us, because our next point shifts from the grueling physical strain of the stage to the comforting, unexpected warmth of the backstage dining halls. Number 3. Jin, the gourmet brother who restores the broken pride of the kitchen staff. Enter the chaotic, high-pressure world of a massive concert backstage kitchen, a frantic environment where catering staff work sleepless hours over blazing stoves to prepare hundreds of high-quality meals for demanding VIP talent and exhausted production crews. In the cutthroat entertainment industry, catering workers are often treated as completely invisible, facing arrogant celebrities who demand specialized, outrageously expensive menus only to barely touch the food and throw it into the trash with utter indifference. But a former backstage catering manager revealed a deeply emotional shift in perspective the moment Kim Sok-jin walked into the dining hall and completely upended the rigid social boundaries of show business. Instead of retreating to a private, luxury dressing room to have his meals served on a silver platter, Jin insisted on walking through the standard catering line like an ordinary crew member, his eyes lighting up with genuine, childlike excitement at the simple buffet spread. He didn't just eat, he savored every single bite with absolute gusto, making sure to finish every scrap on his plate to ensure that none of the staff's hard work went to waste. The most unforgettable moment occurred when Jin actively walked over to the hot, sweating kitchen line, bowed deeply to the stunned cooks, and enthusiastically proclaimed, "Thank you so much for this incredible meal. It gave me all the strength I need for the show," directly to the workers. To an underappreciated kitchen staff accustomed to being ignored or criticized by elite talent, that single unprompted gesture of validation was so profound that several older cooks were moved to tears, feeling their professional dignity restored by the most famous pop star on the planet. How does a global icon who has dined in the finest luxury establishments across the earth retain such a pure, deeply rooted appreciation for the humble hands that feed him? Keep watching, because our next revelation takes us into the secretive inner circle of personal management, where the true mental breaking points of stardom are finally exposed.
Number 2. J-Hope, the emotional pillar who absorbs the darkness to keep the team alive. Step into the secretive, ultra-high-pressure inner sanctum of celebrity management, a volatile environment where the crushing weight of global fame, sleepless schedules, and relentless public scrutiny creates a ticking psychological time bomb. In the dark underbelly of the music industry, It is a tragic, well-documented pattern that when the immense psychological stress becomes too much to bear, many elite artists take out their anger, exhaustion, and volatile mood swings directly on their personal managers and lower-level staff. Yet, a former mid-level talent manager who managed BTS during one of their most turbulent, emotionally draining global promotional tours witnessed an unbelievable display of emotional maturity that completely defied the ugly stereotypes of toxic celebrity behavior. Amidst a grueling schedule that had the group flying across time zones with zero sleep, the entire team was at a breaking point, but Jong Ho-seok chose to act as an emotional shock absorber for the entire production crew. Instead of throwing tantrums or retreating into cold, arrogant isolation, J-Hope actively walked around the backstage lounges, checking on the mental state of the exhausted managers, cracking bright jokes, and offering words of profound encouragement to the staff who were weeping from sheer exhaustion. When internal tensions threatened to boil over due to the unforgiving schedule, J-Hope quietly gathered the members for emergency private meetings to diffuse the pressure internally, fiercely ensuring that their personal stress never bled outward onto the vulnerable staff, who were just doing their jobs. This extraordinary level of emotional discipline and empathy proves that he is not just a performer, but the literal heartbeat of the organization. A man who willingly carries the emotional burdens of everyone around him to maintain a safe, respectful, and dignified working environment. How can a human being subjected to the most intense public pressure on earth retain such an unyielding, radiant sense of empathy and protective care for his subordinates? Prepare yourself, because our number one spot brings us to the ultimate test of character, where the absolute pinnacle of global success meets an ancient, unbreakable vow of humility.
Number 1. V, the pure heart who remembers every name in the shadows of fame. Enter the absolute pinnacle of the global entertainment hierarchy, a dizzying height where artists are elevated to the status of modern deities, completely separated from the reality of ordinary human existence by layers of corporate security, multi-million-dollar contracts, and a suffocating culture of sycophancy. In this rarefied air, it is almost a biological certainty that a celebrity will succumb to the distorting effects of their own mythos, treating the rotating door of temporary crew members, venue interns, and low-level security guards as completely interchangeable, faceless ghosts. But a former production intern who worked on an intense, week-long commercial set witnessed a breathtaking display of pure human connection that shattered the cynical illusions of the industry the moment Kim Tae-yang stepped into the studio. While other top-tier celebrities on the set demanded that staff look away or strictly avoid direct interaction, V did the exact opposite, making it his personal mission to quietly ask for the name of every single camera assistant, runner, and lighting tech he crossed paths with. The true emotional climax occurred months later at a completely different, chaotic venue packed with hundreds of industry professionals when Tae-yang spotted that same low-level intern standing far back in the shadows of the stage wings. Instead of walking past, V stopped his entire entourage, broke away from his corporate handlers, and walked directly toward the stunned intern, flashing a warm smile and greeting him loudly by his actual name while asking how his career was progressing. To be remembered and valued by name by one of the most recognized faces on the planet in a brutal industry designed to make the working class feel utterly invisible was an experience of such profound, unexpected validation that it permanently altered the intern's life. This unforgettable moment proved that for V, humility is not a performative mask worn for the public eye, but an organic, deeply ingrained extension of his soul that refuses to let the blinding glare of global adoration erase his basic human decency. How does a man who possesses everything the world has to offer maintain such a fiercely protective, beautifully authentic memory for the ordinary people standing in the shadows of his greatness?